Hello, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Faith in an Ever Changing World Encouragement and Hope. I'm Janet Harley, your host, and I am excited to have with me today Pastor Gale Kragt. Thank you, Pastor Gale, for joining me this morning. Thank you.
It's exciting to be here.
Oh, good. Thank you. All right. Pastor Gale, of course, is a pastor. He is also executive director of Spiritual Care Consultants. He's an author, and also he has a radio show in the podcast channel called Healing Begins. Wow. You are certainly busy for the Lord, Pastor Gale.
Well, there's a lot of work to be done for him, isn't there?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it takes us all, doesn't it?
It does.
Ah, well,
Well,
pardon, go ahead.
go ahead.
Right after our brief introduction, we will be back to hear from Pastor Gale. So stay with us. And welcome back. Pastor Gale, if you will, please share with us in this season what has God given you to do and how is faith helping you do it?
Well, I needed a lot of faith because I love the title of your program, Faith in an Ever-Changing
Thank you.
World, Encouragement and Hope, because I'm going to go back to 2019 when in a prayer time, God began to show me what was to come in 2020.
Oh,
He showed
my.
me about the pandemic. He showed me about the health system. And then he began to show me how he was going to provide for the body of Christ. And so when we roared into 20, God began moving, God began shifting, God began changing. He said, now I'm going to change up your ministry. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Because
Oh,
when God says he's going to change some things, I mean, he's going to change some things.
get
And
ready.
so, yeah. So he said, I want you to put a word in the newspaper every week. I want you to have not every week, but every month. I want you to have a half-page column and put a word from Jesus in there. And I'm like, half page, it goes to like 28,000 homes. And so one of my biggest donors thought this was a great idea. So I
Yeah.
began to put words from Jesus in the paper. Now, there's only one problem with that. A half page newspaper column costs $425
Yeah.
per column. But
Expensive.
the minute I started it, God provided for it. He provided one person to pay for a whole year. And then I just get that going, and I don't claim to be a writer. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I've got to write a newspaper column every month, a half page. That's an animal. It just keeps going. I've been doing it now for over 2 years. And
Wow.
then he said, I want you to send out an email every morning on a Sunday morning to 300 business leaders, giving them a word from the Lord too. I've been doing that for 2 years. And then he said, in April 2021, he said, I want you to start a podcast channel. And I said, I don't know how to do that, Lord. So I asked one of my web designers, do you know how to do a podcast channel? So we launched Healing Begins podcast channel in 2021,
Oh,
and we have now 109 programs. They're about
woo.
24 minutes long. We've had 12,126 downloads. We've had 46 countries and 944 cities tune in.
Woo.
Now, podcasts cost money, right? Anybody know
Mhm.
that? You got to have equipment. You got to have recording stuff. I had none of that. I'm like, oh my word. So God provided again. He provided for it all. And then he said to me at the end of 2021, he said, I want you to get on the radio. I said, radio? Wait a minute. Who's going to give me a radio program? Come on now. And he said, I want it to be at 1 a.m. in the morning.
Wow.
24-minute long radio program. Now,
Wow.
you got to buy airtime, right?
Mm.
You got to record, you got to edit, you got to have airtime.
Mhm.
I said, where do you want me, Lord? God opened the door to iHeartRadio.
Oh,
And
wow.
so I'm on Wood FM 106.9 AM 1300. on Saturday, Sunday mornings at 1 a.m. Now, here's the question I get. Why 1 a.m., Pastor? Why you want to be at 1 a.m.? I said, my target audience. Who's up at 1 a.m.?
Exactly.
People that are stressed out. People that need what? Encouragement and hope. And so I said, okay. So we launched this. I was on 3 radio stations producing radio. And that's an animal, too, because if you do 2 programs a week, you got a lot of recording to do.
Yeah.
And I'm an executive director of a healing ministry. So it's like, I got things to do here, too, Lord. But so that started going. And then he said, I want you to write down my stories. I said, what? He said, I want you to write down everything you experienced with me throughout your life. Now, and that's where we came up with God moments, amazing encounters with the divine in everyday life. Now, I said, but Lord, if I write stories, they got to be in the first person, and I don't like that. He said, but they're not your stories, they're my stories. So I've had like 18 years working between 3 trauma centers. I've been at many deathsides. And so it started back when I was a child, when God decided to invade my bedroom at about 4 a.m. in the morning with 7 angels. Okay, and I took a trip, stood outside the gate of heaven, met the Lord. And so over my life, I have had incredible stories, things that have just happened to me. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I was in bed at night. It doesn't matter if I was in Walmart one time. I'm standing in the Walmart checkout line, and there's 3 elderly ladies ahead of me, and God said, the one on the left needs healing in her body. Ask her. And I said, I ain't going to ask her that. And he said, ask her. So I said to her, I said, ma'am, I know you don't know me. I'm a pastor, but do you need healing in your body? And she goes, oh, my right shoulder's giving me all this pain. So I said, can I pray with you? She goes, sure. So I put my hand on that grandma's shoulder and we began to pray. She said, thank you. And I didn't think anything of it. Then it came time to put her stuff on the bill. She reached over with her right arm and went, oh my gosh, my arm is healed. Then the whole Walmart checkout line turned into a prayer line.
Wow.
So if you want to know what's in this book, it's 27 amazing stories of my life. By the way, I got a grandma chapter in here. I had an awesome grandma that knew Jesus.
Oh, yes.
Incredible grandma chapter. And I didn't realize until I got done with it that I have a lot of angel stories. But they're not because I saw the angels.
Right.
They're because other people saw them working with me. Yeah. After I had that about 9 times, I thought, God, maybe you're trying to say something to me. That angels are working with me. So I remember one lady said, you got this really big angel, 3 stories tall with you. He sticks his sword in the door when you talk. I thought, okay, that's one person, right? So I get called to the 3rd floor to the cancer ward, and they said, hey, we got a lady dying of cancer. But she's seeing a lot of angels. I thought you'd like to see her. So I walk in the door, and she says, wow, he's big. Can I have him? And I said, ma'am, he's with me. I can't give him to you. And so the book is amazing. So I have asked God for a soul for every book, for a healing for every book. If there's a part in here where I pray for people that are sick, like in Acts 19, Paul with the aprons. If you're hanging on to this, I'm praying for your healing right now. Receive it. And we just got the book out, and we're approaching 800 copies already gone out the door. Woo. And a part of the royalties, 10% of them are going back into my missions, because I work in Costa Rica and Honduras. We have Joseph Barns where we feed the poor. So 10% of all royalties, probably about 60 cents of every book goes back into mission. And so it's just not about hospital stories. It's about the crazy time I picked up 2 people in a driving rain in the middle of night, in the middle of nowhere, and I had a God encounter with these 2 people that I put in my nice car. And in this ever-changing world, we got to be ever-changing.
Absolutely.
We got to be able to adjust, because God will want to take you on a journey. The only limitation is us.
Yes.
Are we going to follow him? Are we going to step out in faith? Or are we going to say, I can't believe for that, God?
Right.
Well, I listen to Jesse Duplantis a lot. I like him. Some people may not like him, but I like him because he challenges my faith. Mark 11:24, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you receive it is yours. God has paid for things. God had to pay for this book.
Yeah.
By the way, it's going to be an audio book at the end of this week.
Oh.
It's being translated into Spanish and hard copy and Kindle. And in in August, I'm going to be in Costa Rica on missions, and we're kicking it off in Spanish.
Wow.
So this book,
that's amazing.
I've got 31 reviews on Amazon, and people that have been reading it have just been impacted.
Yeah.
And the lady got a hold of me from Maine. She's a Russian American. She said, this was the first book I've read where I felt like God was calling my name through the whole book. And then she sent me a picture of her autistic son. Would you please pray for him? So we prayed for him. We sent her a palm cross and an anointed prayer cloth. That was an awesome time.
That's wonderful, Pastor Gale. And I want to put up some information here so people can go to purchase God Moments at Amazon. And also you have a movie trailer, God Moments movie trailer. So we've got the website for that, and the YouTube site for that. And I will also be putting these links in the comments section as well. So Pastor Gale, thank you so much for sharing the God stories, God moments, and just appreciate you being my guest today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Janet. And by the way, thank you to everybody watching. Please pray. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Certainly we want to do that. And I certainly want to give a shout out to Creative Motion Network and Abundant TV as well. Thank you all for watching. Have faith and look up, friends, where our help comes from. Bye. God bless.